Thanks, Paul. Thanks for the opportunity to present our story today. So we're a battery materials and services business. We've got a few different technology platforms. Next slide, please. And then just to flick through the disclaimer, sorry. So where we are now, we've got a clear sense of purpose as to who we are. We operate in a growing industry, supporting lithium-ion battery development, either from a materials perspective or services. We've got 3 technology platforms which we're now focusing on moving forward, and there's a real shift in the industry and geopolitically to ensure there's security of materials. And so, being a Western company with Western technology and being able to provide these materials is quite a strategic advantage for us. And probably most significant in the last 6 months, we really want to focus on our partnerships. We're a small company, we're a scale-up company, and we realised that to break into the industry the way that we think our technologies can, we really need to partner up with the right firms. Next slide, please. So a simplified view of the lithium-ion battery supply chain, starting on the left. You've got the explorers. So we've decoupled all of our direct exploration activities from lithium resources over the last couple of years. So we do still have some investments in companies in exploration, and also interestingly, we've still maintained some lithium rights under minority holdings, specifically through Charger Metals. But if you move downstream, we've got a lithium chemicals division. Probably the most significant there is our LENA technology. So that's a technology that can take spodumene, low-grade spodumene, and fine spodumene, and actually process it more efficiently than the current converters. We've just announced a deal with Mineral Resources as a technology partner. There's a slide a bit further on which I'll take a bit more detail. But where we see with that technology now, we believe it's got the potential to increase the amount of lithium units out of a mine by about 50%. So if you're talking about a mine that's capturing 60% of the lithium ex-pit, we think we can take that to 90. So very significant for the mining industry, very significant commercially, but also the ESG aspects of that is clear. And now with the deal with MinRes, we've been able to effectively get to a position where we're free carried up until the point where there's a demonstration plant decision. Moving slightly further downstream, we've got a technology that does cathode materials, specifically lithium ferrophosphate cathode materials. So it's a very safe and cheap cathode material. We've been working on this for a number of years, and where we are at the moment, this is probably our largest commercial focus. We're trying to get the right partners for us to take this business forward over the next 12 months. For those people that don't understand how batteries are made, there's effectively 2 halves of the battery. One is the anode, one's the cathode, and we produce the cathode powders. So we'll look to build a demonstration plant over the next 12 months or so. We don't deal in cell manufacturing. We don't deal in EV manufacturing. So we're trying to keep ourselves as simple as we can with the technology platforms we have. But we do have a business based in Melbourne that is recycling batteries today and has been for about the last 8 years or so. So we're the leader in the Australian market for battery recycling. This business, as with all of them, is in a scale-up phase. So starting small, and we're increasing our volumes and footprint on a monthly, annual basis. Really, where we want to get to for that business, for example, a lithium-ion battery, we can recycle about 95% of the weight of the lithium-ion battery when it comes to us. We want to shift more volumes toward lithium-ion batteries away from some of the smaller handheld batteries, and secure some significant partnerships with EV and energy storage system manufacturers, and ultimately get to a cash flow positive positions. So maybe just a bit of information on the growth of that business between FY22 and 23. The volumes increased by 24% year on year. So that's pretty significant for us. And interesting enough, the shift towards lithium-ion batteries has also been quite strong. And over that period of time, we've also grown our revenues from mainly the recycling business from about $2.5 million up to north of $5 million. So we're seeing very strong growth in the cash generation of the recycling business, and we are firmly focused on driving the commercial outcomes for that business towards cash flow positive. Next slide, please. So look, a few graphics on the industry, starting with the slide or the graph on the left. The market's going gangbusters. The lithium-ion battery market is incredibly strong from a demand perspective as we move through the electrification and decarbonisation of the world. So there's no denying that there's a lot of demand for services, materials and chemicals over the next good couple of decades. So we're in the right space. That second graphic talks to the chemistry of cathodes. So historically, nickel cobalt type chemistries have been the strongest globally, but very quickly we're now seeing that LFP is becoming the dominant chemistry, and it already is in China, when China leads the world in terms of the battery materials, battery chemicals, and pack manufacturing space. When you look at the distribution of demand and supply globally, China is a very, very dominant player at the moment. There's a lot of desire geopolitically for countries to control their own supply. And then on the right-hand side, recycling it's something we're investing in today, but we know that the volumes are going to be incredibly strong over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So you can see the volumes going up exponentially. Typically, a lithium-ion battery would last, depending on its application, some of the larger formats between 5 and 10 years. So, an EV going out the door today, we wouldn't see that coming into our facility for recycling for quite some time. Next slide, please. And this geopolitical shift is driving a lot of policy and driving a lot of capital availability. So probably dominated by the IRA out of the US, but also through Europe and here in Australia. There is cash available for projects to develop and secure non-Chinese supply materials. So we're trying to look into these jurisdictions at the moment to pick the right jurisdiction to start. Ultimately, we'll from a cathode material perspective, we'll be in multiple jurisdictions over time. Next slide, please. So this is a roadmap we put out beginning of May. I'll focus on the next 12 months, so FY24, what we expect to deliver over that period of time, but also take us through to what the world might look like over the next few years. So starting with lithium chemicals, we said we would need to secure a development partner. We've now done that through our agreement with Mineral Resources, and we'll start the pilot plant activities with them. So that piloting will start this side of Christmas. Ultimately, where we'll get to with that technology, we'll form a joint venture with MinRes, and that joint venture will license the technology out to their operations and any other spodumene greenfield or brownfield operation that wants to take the technology within itself. From a cathode powder perspective, VSPC, we're at the moment trying to secure partners for that business, primarily into off-takers for our LFP material, but also supply of our raw materials, joint development partners and the like, to try and bring that demonstration scale facility or qualification plant through, which will be around 3,000 tonne per annum kind of output, so we can get to an FID within the next 12 to 18 months. Ultimately, we'll be building commercial facilities. They're typically 10 to 12,000 tonnes per annum, and we see ourselves building multiple of these, kind of eight to 10 in the next 5 to 10 years. From a recycling perspective, our focus really is on making sure that the operating model is as effective as it can be. So very much shifting towards a scale up from a volume perspective, but also introducing a lot of manufacturing activities to lower our cost, to drive efficiencies, but also working with our partners externally to ensure that we're getting the right volumes in the door. So lithium-ion batteries is our focus, and also making sure that the commerciality of those volumes is as optimal as it can be for shareholders. Next slide, please. Partnerships I mentioned earlier on, really, really important for us. We've had partners in our battery recycling business for quite some time. We've got, as you can see on the slide there, Bunnings, Officeworks, Battery World, and LG Energy Solutions, to name a few. But significantly, we've just entered into agreement with Mineral Resources. That was announced earlier this month. They're a very large, diversified organisation themselves. They've got access to lithium resources. They're extracting those resources at the moment. And so for us, having someone like MinRes run the rule over our technology, validate it through an investment to us, they'll give us $4.5 million to finish off the pilot and also complete an engineering study. At the end of that process, we would enter into a joint venture where we'd put our technology in, and MinRes put that funding in, and then that joint venture business license the technology out to themselves, but also to other operations, as I said. So really, when you look at that, the free carry element of that financially takes some burden away, and commercially gives us or the technology a much better opportunity to be able to come to life and deliver returns. In the cathode active material space, so Novonix has tested our material this year. We'll likely provide an update to the market on the completion of that test work over the coming months. But effectively, they've tested our material, and against commercially available materials in the market, it stacks up very, very well. So we're very positive about the results. We're now using some of this test work on our own to engage with potential partners in the US, Europe, India, South Korea, and really over the next 6 months, we'll see ourselves getting to a position where we understand who the partner or partners are that will move this technology forward with. Next slide, please. A bit about the corporate snapshot. We're well funded, so $9 million in the bank at the end of the quarter, plus substituted by $6 million in listed stock. So we've got enough money to undertake the future activities. You can see in the slide there when we announced the MinRes deal, lots of excitement, as you would expect, and our job now is to just grow that, grow the story, deliver on our plan, and ultimately bring our market cap up. Just one final slide on the next one. Sustainability. So this is a really important facet of our organisation. We've defined our values, which we start with safety and we end with sustainability. We put our first sustainability report out earlier on this year. We're just in the process of finalising our second report, but much of what we do is either stopping batteries going into the ground and getting into waterways through our recycling business, or improving the recovery of lithium from resources. So very much a facet of our organisation that is strong. Back to you, Paul.
A fascinating story. I mean, just to start with, can you just elaborate a bit further on the disruptive nature of the technology?
Yeah, so for the leaner technology, the traditional converters at the moment actually use a thermal process that blows some of the fine material out, and it's actually not selective enough to be able to process the lower grade material. What our process is able to do, there's no furnace within it, so really it's a caustic digest, Paul. So it enables us to be a lot more selective on how we take the lithium out, which means we can improve our recovery. But in addition to that, we're able to capture all the fine material. And one other thing that's worth mentioning here as well is, so this isn't getting us to a spot concentrate as you would get out of a traditional converter. We're actually moving into a lithium chemical. So the product is lithium phosphate. So if you think of a MinRes, they're also going downstream in this technology. Yes, it's pretty exciting on a number of fronts. And I think once we've proven the technology with MinRes, this will have some really good future for us and our shareholders.
Yeah. So is the technology just limited to spodumene strings?
It currently, yes, would be the answer. I think there's some other applications that we could use it on. We do have another technology which has been used on lithium micas. But at this point in time, just to ensure we've got some focus and get us towards commercial outcomes, we're just going to use this technology for spodumene.
And there's a question here: how does Lithium Australia compete with the Chinese on LFP battery technology?
Pretty well, actually. So we've got our own proprietary flow sheet. When we took on VSPC back in 2017, one of the things we observed in that process is that it was quite inefficient. So one of the pluses of Lithium Australia when we took on that company is to simplify things down, which takes a lot of cost out. So in terms of product quality, it's very high. In terms of materials handling is also very, very high. That's very important in the industry. But it comes down to cost. So our conversion costs are comparable with that in China.
And we touched on this in the room before we came on live. What other competitors, if any, do you see out there?
Yeah, it's difficult because we don't have a lot of peers, and it's one of the challenges for a company like ours. It's great when you're a junior and you can point to someone that's a multi-billion-dollar market cap company and say that this is where we'll be in a few years' time. But we really don't. So in the recycling space, we lead the industry here, and broadly around the world, the big recyclers are actually sitting next to gigafactories taking clean waste and a consistent chemistry and then putting it back into the gigafactory. We're taking lots of different batteries from lots of different sources. So it's much more challenging. So it actually gives us a massive strategic advantage in 5 to 10 years' time. From a lithium chemicals perspective, probably the only other company out there like us is Calix. So Calix are another technology business, but there's very little other public companies. And then from a cathode active materials, again, there's no one in Australia that's doing what we're doing. And China produces well over 95% of LFP cathode powders at the moment. So the advantage for us is being non-Chinese and being able to access funding like the IRA. So look, I see us going very strong over the next few years and beyond. But we don't really have a guiding light out there that says this is who we'll be when we grow up.
And just to finish up, in addition to Australia, where do you see the greatest opportunities geographically?
Yeah, it's funny because we're called Lithium Australia, but we'll probably have more footprint externally. I think the US will be very strong for our cathode active material business. We believe strongly that. We believe strongly that probably our first or second commercial facility will be in the US, and that could be followed up by our second and third. The demand there is very strong. India is a very, very active market as well, especially in the three-wheeler space. Korea's great knowledge and technology base. Really, when you look at who does battery materials well, Korea, Japan, they're really second to China. So we could build a facility there as well. And clearly at home, I think we'll build something here in Australia, but the demand and the supply chain isn't quite as well developed as some other jurisdictions.
Many thanks for your time today. We will follow the Lithium Australia story with interest over the coming months, and we wish you the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.